Ms. Rayford. I'm excited to meet with you on today for our initial feedback session as your instructional coach. I have witnessed some awesome lessons while visiting your class. Let's talk about the goal you mentioned you wanted to focus on. So tell me about your goal.
Well, I think that when doing stations with my students, I see a need for improvements on students making smooth transitions and the rotations throughout their stations.
I think this is a great goal. Believe it or not, many teachers struggle in this area. You are doing a great job at having differentiated lessons within your stations. All students have had an entry point into the lessons and are all engaged as they move from one station to the next. This shows me that you are providing lessons that your students feel comfortable working with and having a choice of entry levels that addresses all the levels of the abilities you have identified in your class. This is a great accomplishment. So let's focus on what we can do to help you achieve a smoother transition between the stations. I think that we can implement and be effective immediately. What can be implemented and effective immediately is having some cues for your students to know when to move from one station to the next. Try having timers at each station and have a timekeeper. The students will know when to move. The timer provides a visual for the students and they can begin to wrap their thoughts up prior to the timer expiring, which cues them to move to the next transition and cuts back on the stragglers that are left behind. The timekeeper keeps students on track and move the group along. By modeling this practice a few times, students will be able to study, to understand the routine and follow it. It is important to be consistent and stick to the routine. Practice this often with your students. You may even have to stop and model sometimes with your students when they don't follow the routine.
Well, I think this is a great idea. I did not take time to think about having timers at the station. Having a timekeeper would definitely keep my students on task and keep them transitioning.
Awesome. So, I think it is important as an instructional coach to allow the adult learner to set goals for themselves and partner with them to help them achieve those goals through modeling strategies that will aid them in having an impact on their students' learning. Adult learners are eager to accept input from you when you make them feel that they have control of their learning. As the instructional coach, building a relationship with your adult learner helps them to trust you and see value in what you share with them as best practices. Building a relationship and support for the adult learner to meet their intended goal creates a partnership where both the coach and the teacher grows through shared ideas that lead to student achievement. When building trusting relationships with students, we must make them feel valued. Giving them choice menus when providing activities for students shows that you trust them to be self-directed learners and that you are considering them when making decisions for instructional practices. Another way to build trusting relationships with students is to get to know them and allow them to get to know their peers. Build a community of learners within your classroom. Do activities such as All About Me, which opens the line of communication about similarities and differences that exist within their class. When giving feedback to the adult learners, it is important to start with some positives and let the learner celebrate those moments through sharing what they think went well. It is important to provide at least 3 to 4 things that they are doing well and 1 to 2 things that need improvement. Provide evidence for those areas of improvement to improve in those areas. Remember, you are a partner and your focus is to help the learner reach their goal and impact their students' achievement.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Daniels. I think you're an awesome instructional coach, and I'm going to get a timer.
Awesome.